Hi, Dave.
Morning.
Just wondered if you have any sort of an update on Zach Cassidy and how things are going.
I haven't seen him yet today, but I think he came in a little bit later when we were on the ice, so I haven't talked to him yet, but he was in good spirits, and the bump on his head's gone down this morning a little bit, so he's feeling all right, but I think he'll have to go into the concussion protocols for a few days, and we'll see where things go.
He's had some rough luck over the last little stretch with, the hand last year and the other thing.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to his ability or need to get healthy and get back up to speed?
I think I think we're lucky last night. He banged his head pretty good, but from how he sounded last night, how he's doing today, I think we dodged a bullet on anything too serious. So that's a good thing. He's come into camp. He's played real well in camp. He was having a great game last night. So we need him to play like a big, strong player like he is, and he's been doing that. Hopefully he's not out too long.
Something like yesterday, it looks pretty bad. It turns out it might not be as serious as it looked. It always kind of reignites the discussion on fighting's place in the game. As a coach with some skilled players and some guys who do mix it up every once in a while, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, there's times intimidation is still part of our game, and fighting has been part of it for a long, long time. I think if you really look at it, it's down drastically over the last few years. I think you'll continue to see that trend, but it's still part of the game, and sometimes that happens.
Dave, you mentioned the fighting. Mike Smith, he's probably tougher than just about everybody else on your team, other than Darnell and Cassian. When he wants to mix it up, are the players on the team thinking, you can take care of yourself? You're not like a 5'11" goalie.
Well, I think he could take care of himself. I think it's been kind of an unwritten rule all the time in hockey that you take care of your goaltender. He's an important guy back there. But I would agree with you that Schmidt, he could handle a lot of grievances on his own if he had to, but hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Your fourth line yesterday, you talked about them, and no matter how many minutes they get, they have to make some sort of impact. Because of all the penalties last night, was there tough to make?
Yeah, tougher to get a read. I'll get a little better read tomorrow, hopefully. If there's less penalties. But I was calling for more penalties, and we got more penalties. So there was part of it that it was actually good to see. But then there were some guys that, the flow of the game just wasn't there to get any rhythm in your lines. So. We'll have another look tomorrow night.
What kind of impact do you want McLeod to make?
He's got to be solid in his positioning and solid with the puck, but he's got to have an impact where, that line, they didn't get a lot early. They turned the puck over and spent some time. Second period spent a lot of time in their own end, but then the third period had a great energy shift, was all over the puck, and it was a shift that actually got the momentum kind of turned back for us. Those are things in a game that a line like that can jump out and give you that energy, and they have an impact on the game, even though it's not on the score sheet. It's an impact on turning momentum in your factor. So those are all things that you look at from that line. If they go out and turn over a puck, or they spend the whole shift in their own zone, then it's going the other way. So we'd like to see you contribute offensively a little bit, be sound in what you do. Hopefully maybe there's some special team stuff, secondary special team stuff there, but have the ability to go out and play against anybody, because that's the way the league is. You have to be able to be ready to play against anybody and hold your own. That's what we're looking for.
Just one more. McLeod says he has to use his body more. Do you agree?
Well, depends how he's talking about. I don't know. Is he think he's going to run around and hit everybody, or is he going to use it in puck battles to protect pucks and win pucks?
I would agree with you there. Mentioned hitting, but the puck battles probably were a bigger deal for you.
Puck battles and getting the puck back, using your physical play to get the puck back, which is not always hitting a guy. It's body position. It's using your stick, and it's when you have the puck protecting it, not getting it taken off you. So there's both strength factors in both of those. That he's a young player. He's come a long way in those aspects, but still somewhere to go. I don't expect his style isn't to go out and run around and hit people. He's a smart player positionally, and centermen, it's hard for them to run around and hit people. So that part of it. If he's talking about has to hit people more, I don't see it. But stronger on the puck, stronger in battles, winning more battles, protecting more pucks, making a play with a guy on your back a little bit, those are all areas that he'll continue to improve.
Thank you.
Dave, you mentioned about fighting, and I've certainly heard that, in discussion over the years, that it does have a place in the game, but as you referenced, it is on the decline. Do you think it's sort of organically being removed from the game? It's becoming more foreign to players coming up through the junior ranks and into the NHL?
Very much so. Yeah, the culture of fighting is changing a lot. There's still some animosity that rises during a game. Maybe it's somebody gets hit, maybe two guys are trying to spur the emotion of the game, but very rarely do you see, if you go back 10 or 12 years ago, you'd see two guys in that role would make sure they fought each other just to make sure they try to do their role, but that's all out of the game. This is, any fight you see now, if there is a fight, it's out of pure emotion, a spur of the moment stuff. It's not, there are no guys line up beside each other and say, okay, we should probably fight to say we did our job. That's out of the game. There's intimidation is part of the game. Somebody goes out and takes liberties against one of your top players physically, and I'm not talking fighting, physically. I mean, either you try to reciprocate against the other team's top players, or you try to reciprocate with a heavy physical shift against the player that's taking liberties against you. That's part of the game. And I know you don't have fighting in football, you don't have fighting in baseball, but there is intimidation tactics that are addressed in all those sports. That's for us. Fighting has been one of those tactics that has been around our game for a long time. Like I said, I would say at some point it'll come to the point where fighting won't be allowed in hockey anymore, but we're not there yet.
So, like I asked Darnell about this too, like some junior leagues have said, okay, every third fight is another game suspension. Do you think the NHL would even need to bother a further deterrent like that if they do decide to further?
Who knows where it goes, but I just know the decline that's happened, and I think it will continue to decline.
Dave, last season you had a few very prominent players that were pending free agents, and then this summer, you have a lot of guys that signed a long-term contracts. I think you have about 10 guys that are on contracts of 3+ years, plus some younger players. Seems like you have a very established core. I'm just wondering if there's more of a sense of comfort or, that type of thing around this team this year.
I don't look at contracts myself. That's not my job. I know when guys are going to be here longer term. It probably affects every player different. You have somebody that's on the last year of their contract. I've seen players that have turned into great players on the last year of their contract, and some that it bothers them. So for individuals, that might take away some distraction, but I don't see a sense of comfortable. I see guys showing up and they want to win. Whether they're on 8-year contracts or on 1-year contracts, they're all here for the same purpose. And, we have some guys between Hyman and Nuge and Nursey. I mean, these guys are going to be here long-term, just like Connor and Leon. I think it's great to have a core that really cares about being here and wants to push this thing along. So in that sense, comfortable, no, but secure in trying to what they're doing and going to be a part of it. I like that. It's especially if you like your core, and I do like our core here. It's to have them tied up and all pulling the same direction. That's a good thing.
Is there a kind of a fine line you have to walk in terms of, you have this core that you really like and they're going to get a few cracks at it, but you obviously want to win every year too. Is there a bit of a fine line that you have to walk as a coach, or kind of not a motivational sense, but just in the way that you kind of approach the next few years?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, just that there are going to be a few, theoretically with all these guys on contracts, they're going to get a few cracks at it, right? But the pressure is obviously...
I'm worried about this year. I'm not worried about the cracks down the road. I want the crack this year. So that's all I'm worried about right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Dave, one more. Is Holloway here?
Yeah.
And what sort of things does a guy go through when he's got a bad hand? Does he,
He skated
Bike?
first time today. He was out with the skating coach today. Him and Samarukov were both out there skating early, so he's getting his legs under him. He can't shoot pucks or anything yet, but he's getting skating. Both those guys are young players that we'll try to use the time best we can to make sure they're integrated in our group, watching what's going on. They're in meetings. I mean, things that will help grow young players to hopefully good NHL players. So unfortunate they're hurt, but you try to make the best of the situation while they're here.
and anything new on Archibald? He was going for more MRI.
No, I haven't heard anything here today yet.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks, guys.